Good morning, y'all. Thank you for tapping in for some real talk from the heart this morning. This morning's real talk is from the book of Jonah, chapter 2 and verse 7. Jonah chapter 2, verse 7, our real talk from the heart. Here's what the word of the Lord says. When my soul fainted within me, I remembered Yahweh, and my prayer went up to you into your holy temple. When my soul fainted within me, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer went up to you into your holy temple. You know, here in this passage in Jonah's life, Jonah is weary because of his own doing. Jonah is worn out and he feels like his soul is fainting because he chose to run from the Lord, because he chose to disobey the Lord in going to Nineveh. He obviously went the opposite way, and now he was living with the consequences of that disobedience, which is, man, misery, just wore out, tired, weary, faint. Running from the Lord will cause, man, your soul to faint. It says, I think at least 4 times in the first chapter that he was running from the presence of the Lord. He was trying to get away from the Lord's presence. I remember someone saying a long time ago, if you're running from the Lord, you are just running in place because the Lord is everywhere. And I know that in my own life because I ran from the Lord for about 10 years. Growing up in church, knowing the truth, knowing that He's the way, knowing that, right, that's the right path to take in life, the path that leads to life. And I chose to try to do my own thing and go my own way, and found myself just wore out, man. Just wore out and tired. A lot like Jonah is feeling right here. But the Lord got Jonah's attention. If you know the story, of course, there's the story of the whale, the part of the whale. And the Lord got Jonah's attention, and Jonah remembered the Lord. Man, that's my story too. The Lord got my attention in the midst of that pit that I was in. And I remember the Lord. I want to ask you this morning, has the Lord got your attention yet? Man, maybe you came across this video and you said, I'm not even a believer, man. I'm not even a God follower. I'm not a Christian. What's it going to take? What's it going to take for the Lord to get your attention? Sometimes the Lord will use drastic measures to get people's attention because their eternal state is more important than their current comfortable state. And so He might put you through some discomfort to get you to remember Him. That's what happened to Jonah. Found himself wore out, found himself weary, faint of soul, found himself in the pit, right, in the belly of the whale. And it was in there that he cried out to God. When will you start remembering the Lord? When will you start remembering the Lord? What's it going to take to cause you to remember the Lord? Jonah became mindful of the Lord. And when Jonah became mindful of the Lord, it says, and my prayer went up to you. Right? That was the result of becoming mindful of the Lord. When a person's mindful of the Lord, man, they live a life of crying out to the Lord. And so he becomes mindful of the Lord and led him to pray to the Lord. And the help that Jonah needed, he found. You see, Jonah was in a helpless state. Jonah was a helpless man. And the helpless find sufficient help in the one who is Himself, as the psalm says, our ever-present help. The helpless find sufficient help, real help, from the one who is Himself, our ever-present help. He's always there. But we don't look to the hills, man. We look to the Lord from our help comes. And so if you find yourself today, man, weary, weak, man, worn out with life, man, life's just getting the best of you, man. It's got you just feeling overwhelmed. Are you praying? Are you remembering the Lord? Are you calling out to Him? Or are you trying to weather that storm in your life? Are you trying to go through that heaviness in life all on your own? Or what a lot of people do is when their marriage is on the rocks and their kids aren't listening and all these things are happening, man, they got to go get a bottle. Man, they got to go get something to drink. Or they got to pop a pill, or they got to take a hit. That's the only thing they know to do. And that doesn't fix nothing. If anything, it makes it worse, and it causes a distance in relationship. That's what addiction does. But listen, If you find yourself weary and wore out, man, I want to encourage you, man, be praying. Because if you are praying, you are not helpless. If you are praying, you are not helpless. But if you're prayerless, you're helpless. You ain't got no help coming to you. So remember the Lord. Remember him. Remember that he's right there for you, even in that pit. Even though it's your fault you're in that pit, he's still right there for you. And he's loving, gracious, kind, merciful. He relents in doing harm, which means he doesn't want to do harm. But if that's what people insist upon, and they want to reject his hand of help, then that's what they got. But listen now, I want to speak to those of you who find yourself, man, as Jonah says here, when my soul fainted within me. Maybe that describes your current state of life, where you just feel faint, you feel weak, you feel weary and wore out, overwhelmed. Remember the Lord. Call the Lord to mind, and then call on the Lord. And as it says here, my prayer went up to you. It says, into your holy temple. Where does your prayer go? If you're praying through Jesus Christ, your prayer is going right to the Father. To pray in any other name is like sending a letter with the wrong zip code. It ain't going to get there. We have to come to God through Jesus Christ. Remember the Lord and call out to him today. He's right there for you. Hey, he loves you. I love you too. And I'm praying for you. Please be praying for me. All right. God bless y'all. Thank you for tapping in for some real talk from the heart today. Hope to see you on the next video.